Hey everyone, it's October, and so that means it's time for Christmas. Today we're going to be talking to Ruthie Mason, who, thank God you're here before your due date, and Jason Bach, whose 7 years at Coronation is today. So we're all feeling sentimental and nostalgic, and so we decided we want to talk to you about Santa's official COVID response, which was a video that we produced at the tail end of 2020 to ring out the year, and it comes with a lot of fun stories. Welcome to Heralds and Fools, the podcast where we talk shop. We talk about client projects, passion projects, the nitty-gritty details of what makes creative life so fun. So I want to talk to you about this project that we did years ago, which occupied a particular time in video production. Obviously, the whole industry had been through, obviously everyone had been through a crazy period of time. In video production, it was weird because we were not on set like at all. Yeah. And so we had this idea, which was like, hey, let's do a promotional video for us / a Christmas card for us. Let's do what we can while we can, and set regulations where we were at that point. We could do a couple people. We could have a couple people in the same area. And so we thought about doing this piece. Do you remember when we first started talking about this?
No. Maybe I do. I don't know. I feel like I think it came about really quickly. I feel like you guys were talking about it, and then I was at the Emmitsburg Mall getting antiques. Okay. And then we were filming like the next day. Yeah,
it did. It did
felt
have
really
a quick.
Fast.
I think we at least had a week.
Yeah.
Because I know that Jen was building some of the props for it, and I know that she had more than a day. But yeah, it did come together quick.
You came in one day with the helmet on, and that's kind of all I remember.
Yeah, we should probably, I think what would be beneficial is to watch it.
Yes.
And then we can talk about it and break it down. Because I think our ethos at the time was, does anybody remember that we do video? We still had animation cooking. You guys were still cooking animation.
See, that's interesting you say that, because to my mind, this was the video that sort of launched us into animation.
Oh, hot take.
That is a hot take.
Okay, well, let's watch the video.
I know what you're all thinking. Is Santa still coming to town? Ho, ho! You bet you're blitzing. Here at the North Pole, we've all taken pandemic precautions. With the help of my crack team of elven geniuses, we've implemented high-tech solutions like never before. We've designed socially distant stocking stuffers. We've outfitted Rudolph with an ultraviolet nose, so bright. And my head of design has created a sleek microclimate globe to protect me from spreading fine particulates. Only one elf, Kyle, was exposed, but he's been quarantined to the South Pole. The penguins say he's doing just fine. The only real problem is the milk and cookies.
So this is a project, just for anyone listening, that we haven't thought about in a long time. It seems like a completely different world that in which this happened.
Yeah.
But it kind of was.
Yeah. I'm now remembering the source of when this happened. It was Bill and I, and we would meet at night for business, and it was like, we were like, what are we doing? There are no projects right now. You know, there were lots of other agencies around us who were closing.
It was scary.
It was a scary, scary time. And I think we had, just from trying to figure out like how we were going to maintain, what we were going to do. We're a much smaller team at the time, but it was still nerve wracking. And we said, well, let's just do a Christmas card video and do something fun and wrap out the year. And I believe we wrote the script that night.
I think you did.
I think you did.
It happened so fast.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was like, even just listening to it, it's like all the lingo of the time, like fine particulates, and it's all like rushing back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jason, do you remember when we first started talking about this project?
No, I only remember doing it, but that's partly because it was so fast. We just dove right into it.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. To my mind, it was. I know technically we'd done animation before, but yeah, this is the one that I remember as like the first real animation video that Coronation did.
So we had probably done hundreds of minutes of animation, but one of the core differences with this one was there's a lot of character animation, which we weren't doing a lot of at the time. And the other thing was, I believe this was our first Toon Boom harmony.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, like our first cell animation.
We've done plenty of like, rigged
puppet animation.
Yeah, Adobe Illustrator.
Motion graphics and all of that.
Yeah, but this was, I guess we had the other COVID video before this. Well, wait, was it before this?
Yeah.
The nurses one?
Thank you, healthcare workers.
Yeah.
I totally forgot.
But that one was
that too.
That one was much shorter though.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And that wasn't a real production because that was literally just animation. This one, had the live action component in the props.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
This one was more complicated than that.
Yeah, this was a real shoot.
We did really early on in the pandemic.
That
we
was
did
when we
like
were
a thank you healthcare workers. Mm-hmm. Yeah, when we were all still remote.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a tier. We had.
I don't remember how that one got made. Like, because I think you're right. This was the first Toon Boom project. I don't even remember what we did for the other one.
For the other one we did do. That's a great question.
I don't remember.
Procreate?
I don't think it could have been. I think it had to be. Maybe that was the first, that walk cycle that Peter did.
That was the first one.
I think that might have been the first harmony thing we did. That's fascinating. We're winding so far back.
Yeah.
But before we get to animation, I think like we should talk about production.
Yeah.
Because the production on this was notable. And it was one, we learned a lot on it. And it was also like we didn't have a lot of flexibility because we couldn't really deploy big sets.
Yeah.
So we said, okay, the basic concept for this video, as you guys saw, Santa is going to still come to town despite COVID-19. He's still going to bring his presents, but he's taking precautions. And it was very buzzy at the time, and now it's like a world we've forgotten. So we decided, okay, well, how can we do this baseline? Because we can't hire other people for set. And it's a video that like is deceptively, we had a lot less people on set than you may assume.
Yeah.
What was our full crew, Ruthie?
It was me, you, and Christian.
That's it.
I think it ended up being like a 10 to 12 hour day.
Yeah.
And Bill brought us Chick-fil-A at some point in the middle. And
I think that was, I honestly think it was probably closer to a 15 or 16 hour day. So
long.
And so the thing is too, that it was a one location shoot, but if you notice there's internal and external in the video, and we have Santa sort of sitting in his hearth. You can see behind him our very saturated blue night sky.
Yeah.
And then the second setup was the external looking in. And then the third setup is inside when he's failing to eat the cookie.
Oh, yeah.
So we had 3 different sets. And how did
we had
we
to stage
how do we
all of those rooms?
Do you remember how we did that?
I think you and Christian were figuring out the backdrop with the blue light.
Yeah.
While I was bringing in props
Okay.
in the one room. So I think we were like tag teaming. You guys were figuring that out and like working with cameras and stuff. And I was doing like set decor. And then once we had finished filming with all the like A-roll stuff with him, we then were like, let's go into this other room. And so like, I think it was almost like we'd already been filming probably for like eight hours.
8 hours or something.
And then we were like, hey, Santa Bob, can you do a little bit more in this other room? And he was like, sure. So we like went in and then had to put the lights up, put the tree up. We'd do the set decor in that other room. And then you guys had to figure out how to film it.
We should mention, you mentioned Santa Bob. So shout out to Santa Bob.
Santa Bob.
Who we looked through a lot of Santas at the time. And Santa Bob was miles
He's the
better.
best.
He is actually Santa, like 100%.
I love that man.
All his wardrobe, all his props, everything was his. That list was his. So part of it was like, okay, how can we do this quick? Let's get the best Santa we can, and let's get him to bring all his Santa stuff. And but yeah, so the way we did the internal shot with that external thing is we made a 15-foot tent inside the house up to the ceiling. And then added trees behind that,
Yes.
so you can kind of see them. And then for the other set, it was an internal shoot too that we were making look like an external.
Yeah, the building had this really cool brick wall and glass window that we were able to shoot through. So that was super convenient. We didn't actually have to go outside.
And all of this stuff is stuff that reasonably, if this wasn't a COVID time, we would have done. That set probably would have had 10 people helping us.
It was crazy. We did so much.
Yeah.
It was horribly hard, but fun.
The other thing too that happened on set, which was notable, was that we had fogged the whole thing up for atmosphere, and we had also lit a fire
in the fireplace.
Yeah, and we didn't close the flue.
We didn't open the flue.
We didn't open the flue. Or see, this is why it happened.
Yeah,
and we hotboxed Santa Bob with the fireplace.
He was so gracious about it, but it was very smoky.
Yeah, the whole house was
guy.
smoky. So just like that is the context under which this was filmed, was 3 people getting through quarantine, trying to do a job of probably 5 to 10 people for the day.
Easily had a full crew.
If we were doing this again, we absolutely would. And I remember, I think it was at the end of the day, you and Christian were like, okay, so we have to talk about how we're going to do this from now on.
Yeah.
Wait, so how long would it have taken you if you had a full team?
A lot quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5 hours, 6 hours.
I think we could have done this shoot in closer to 8 hours. All things considered, we did pretty darn good.
Oh yeah, I think it turned out great.
Yeah.
I'm very pleased with the result.
Another thing we did was, so we had started doing concept art, and Peter, I think it was Peter who was working on the little filigree on the bottom, or
No, I think that was Emma.
maybe it was. I can't remember if the props came before I think the prop came before the
Animated.
animated.
Oh,
It
really?
did.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
I
it
didn't
was,
know that.
I think it was Peter. It could have been Emma who was working on the bottom design. And then, so what we did was Jen worked on this, and it was a piece of like clear plastic that we used a Cricut cutter and cut all the designs out, and to make the collar of it. And then thank God we found this like
It was
perfect.
like a huge fishbowl, wasn't it?
It was like it was like a big fish bowl. I don't even know what it was for. It was for a lamp. It was for the external of a lamp.
Yeah.
And then we had to cut it out with a hot knife to like get it to fit over Santa Bob's head. And it had little LEDs running through it. And then we had to recreate the whole thing in animation.
Yeah, I remember putting that on at one point because it was, just bouncing around the office for a while afterwards, and it was. I mean, for being super jank, it looked pretty good.
It definitely sells on camera.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be the nicest to wear for an extended period of time.
No, there's like no air.
There's very little air. It had enough. We made a little crack up this side for airflow.
Yeah. I remember though, when we were trying to put that on Santa Bob, like, I don't know if it was you or me, but one of us like had to get our arm like up in there to try to keep his hat on his head.
Yes.
Because at the one point when it falls off, it was like it just fell off. But literally, it was like we had to like put the helmet on and then like get his hat on.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, like it wouldn't fit.
Like a
over
ship in a
his
bottle.
head. Yeah. It
Yeah.
literally felt like we were building a ship in a bottle, like with Santa Bob's head and his hat and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, and it was all under the protocols too of like we COVID tested before and everything, and it was just like we felt a little rebellious being on set because we hadn't been on set in a while, and it was like, it was a wild thing. Now I think you did go to the antique mall because didn't you help source a little screen? Didn't you like help find the pieces for that?
Yeah, you were talking about wanting like a TV.
Yeah.
And I went to the antique mall and I was like, I don't understand. Like I couldn't conceptually understand like what you were hoping it would be. So I think I was there like sending you and Bill pictures of like little TVs. And then I think eventually we found like a small screen and you guys just like built it and made it work. But I'm pretty sure I spent probably like 6 hours in the Emmitsburg Antique Mall having the time of my life because I was just...
That's a great place.
Seriously, because...
we did that for another project.
Yeah.
The baptism.
Yes.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause
It's a fun place.
It's so fun. And also, the antique malls always have crazy Christmas stuff, but like you're never actually going to an antique mall for Christmas stuff.
Yeah.
But like I was.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm getting paid.
All
to
the little toys
Yes.
and
I was like, I'm getting paid to just walk around and look at all this really weird, cool Christmas stuff. It was awesome. It was so fun. But yeah, I found the screen or the TV, I think, and then I like brought it and you guys made it amazing. I was like, I have no clue how they're going to do this.
Yeah, no. Okay, so that's the basic function of the shoot. In some ways, that shoot went exceptionally well.
Yeah.
Given that it was 3 of us and Santa Bob, he was the star of the show.
Yeah,
he really brought Christmas to all of us.
Well,
and you've worked with him again a couple times.
He and I literally were just emailing like a week ago because he has done. I've done the last 2 years. I did photos with Santa sessions.
Oh, right.
And he's been my Santa.
Oh, right.
And I was gonna do it again this year, and the only date that I had was November 3rd, which is I think like 11 or 12 days before my due date. And I was talking to Alex about it, and he was like, "That's not a good idea." I was like, "Yeah, you're probably right." So I had to email Santa Bob and cancel this year, but we were gonna do it. We were gonna do photos, but
He'll still bring presents.
He said he would do it again next year. So I'm hoping to get 3 years in a row with working with him still. He's great.
Yeah, the friendship forged in the literal house fire.
Yes.
So let's talk about animation, Jason. So obviously, I think part of the hope that Bill and I had when we were launching this video is like, okay, this is the end of the year. It's been a tough year. Let's do something fun. Yeah. Let's send it out to all our clients and just like say, hey, we got through it. Santa's still coming to town. But also to show both sides of the company. So as to do to show the video component, but then also to show the animation component. Jason, can you talk a little bit about that from what you remember almost 5 years ago?
Yeah. Well, what I remember most about it was, in my mind anyway, this was kind of one of the first major cell animation projects that I'd done really, like just even on a personal level.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, you guys already talked about getting thrown right into it on the video end. And yeah, it was the same for animation. When I watch it, I mean, I think it turned out pretty well for being our, first real animation or cell animation project. But when I watch it, all I can remember is just the absolutely insane workflow that we had because none of us
talk about that.
You mean lack of workflow?
Yeah, basically, yeah. Well, lack of knowledge of the software.
Yeah.
I mean,
because we had just started Harmony, and you're learning Harmony.
Yeah,
as
it was just
it.
Peter and I at the time too, and neither of us really knew what we were doing, so it was real trial by fire.
Yeah.
And it was definitely fire. I mean, you guys had a house fire. Literally, we had a metaphorical house fire back in the studio trying to figure out how to do this thing.
Yeah, but we did deliver by Christmas.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
No, the scene with Kyle and the penguin really...
Kyle is the standout.
Yeah.
He's the star of COVID for us.
That one really sticks out to me because I just remember doing the cleanup on the line work, and there were just so many flyaway little lines and things. Not because I was like scribbling, but just because I the way I had designed it just sort of created them. And if I were to do it now, it'd be probably, I don't know, at least 4 times as fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. 4 times as fast and probably 4 times as good.
It seems like the moral of the story is that if we had done this today, we would have cut our time by 75%.
What I love about it though, and what I love about, because COVID was like, I mean, it was a wild time for the industry altogether. Yeah. And I've literally heard other people who own animation studios calling it the boom time. Because right. I think they call it the boom time because all live action production halted. And so coming off right before COVID, we had just finished, like, thank God, we had just finished block filming on a lot of content that we had to do post on for months. Yeah. And so we had that to carry us in live action, which was wonderful. But then in animation, the need for animation sort of started to skyrocket because people still needed advertising. They still needed promotional videos. They still needed all this stuff. And so they call it the boom time now for MoGraph Studios.
I mean, that's partly why I remember it in my head as kind of the first, like, quote unquote, real animated video that we did because, I think of it as the start of that kind of rise for Coronation.
For the quality of our work.
Yeah, well, just cell work is a much bigger lift, like on a per second basis than MoGraph work or rigging or that kind of thing. And yeah, I mean, I guess you can speak to this probably more fully than I can on the business side, but like, I don't know if we would have ever like invested the time in learning something like Toon Boom
at the time.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
You know, if we weren't, if we were busy doing all the other stuff we would normally be doing.
I think it might have taken us longer.
Yeah,
because we probably would have had more standard work.
Yeah, we would have had to squeak it in alongside all the other stuff, and doing it poorly is still better than not doing it at all. Which, yeah, we may have never done it.
It's usually how you start.
Right. I honestly think, like, I look back at it and knowing what it was, which was a few weeks of work, really minimal work. I feel like we had to put it in production in November. I feel like it couldn't have been December when we came up with it. I'd be interested. We gotta look at the timeline.
Yeah.
But
go on a little bit of a sleuth trail and look at our files.
Yeah, that's right.
See when, I don't know.
But I think like it stands up. I feel like the animation really stands up. I think the design is good. It's really fun.
Well, I will say it's funny because I remember watching it the first time. I didn't know that you were going to be comping the animation into the TV.
Right.
I thought it was all going to be full
screen. Neither
did I. So there was some animation work that got put into it that I don't know if it translated exactly.
Oh, like it didn't even. Maybe you didn't even.
Yeah,
see
you
it.
literally might not have seen it. It might have been cropped, or you know,
now's the time. We'll find the files.
You saw it a lot. You saw it a lot. Well, no, but this is what I was going to say. I think in a way that's partly why it holds up because there's a little bit of a veneer over
a little,
a little Vaseline, a little Vaseline on the lens to kind of cover up some of it. I think.
I think the Kyle scene still. I mean, it is such a specific shot of an elf in a space mask,
from a penguin.
Yeah, getting hand sanitized by a penguin. That is the random occurrence of events that would not have happened naturally.
It's just so cute. It's just so fun.
I will say I am proud because I animated one of those shots.
You did?
Yeah.
Which one?
It's the one shot that's not Cell.
The
claws.
Yeah.
I did the claws.
Oh, you did that. I thought Peter
did the claw. No, I did the claw, and I was really happy. And then I also edited the. I did the title card at the end where the motion graphics where the words pop up, but I think I basically just used like plugins because we were moving so quick.
Yeah, I remember I did the rest of that scene, the Santa head with the bubble and
that
all
took you a while. I mean, that was a pretty complicated scene to say, "Hey, buddy, here's Toon Boom Harmony.
Yeah,
learn it
and do this."
That
shot.
one was actually less complicated though than the Kyle shot because the walk cycle was literally all Cell. The one of Santa coming up, there was a little bit of like rigging involved in the motion of the the bounce as he comes up. And,
I see.
Just like any rigging animation versus Cell, it's easier to tweak and play around with stuff in rigging than Cell. Like the walk cycle, you just had to get that down. And again, I just think about how I did that then versus how I would do it now, even apart from the software. I think
Were you doing straight aheads?
I think I just did it straight ahead.
Man.
Yeah. Because I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just did it straight ahead, and then.
We should say for animation, there are two types of ways of doing Cell animation. Well, there's really a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it.
Yeah, there's the right way and every other way.
And the right way of doing it is establishing keyframes where key poses where you have a beginning, a middle, an end. Anytime a character is making a serious motion, you set up these like poles and say, this is where we're going to start, this is where we're going to end, this is the middle, here's another action. And then you do the in-betweens where you fill in the gaps. Jason did.
Well, hold on. But okay. Sorry. Go finish what you were going to say.
What Jason did is Jason started on frame 1 and then said, where am I going?
Oh, no.
Yeah. There was a little bit of rigging involved in the motion of like moving the character.
Okay.
So I had a little bit of leeway there to like tie that to the walk cycle.
I see.
The character didn't look like he was slipping too much as he walked across. But no, it was actually worse than that because, yeah, there's that process. But then there's also the process of like doing the roughs, doing the cleanups, doing the final.
Yeah.
I think I just was kind of like going.
Were you going from start to finish for each one?
Not quite, but a lot closer to final than than is best practice. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
a labor of love.
And honestly, even like
No, it's a labor of not knowing what you're doing.
yeah, it's a labor of
Ignorance.
it's a COVID labor of what are we doing?
Yeah.
And is the world going to be over by Christmas? Is Santa coming? And that's really what we were all asking ourselves.
Yeah.
And where our hope was that
we would discover the answer through our art.
Yeah, that like yes, with like that this would be a magical thing that would make us have.
See,
I
didn't want Santa to come because that meant that it was time to put the thing out there, and we weren't ready yet.
I will say, just like attitude-wise, I mean, making the decision to do this, I think, was super cool of like you and Bill because, yeah, it had been like such a weird year for everybody, and I think like it brought legitimate like excitement and life into the office that we hadn't had in a long time. Like, even though it was really difficult
hard.
and like kind of chaotic, it was like, you know, we were in the office like blasting Christmas music, trying to be like working all together in the spirit of the season. It was a lot of fun. Like,
it reminds me, I think we have a video of you and Emma in masks setting up all our Christmas decorations.
I think so. Yeah. It was such a weird time, but yeah, it just brought this joy that we hadn't had in a while.
Yeah, because I remember, like, you know, whatever it was, March or whatever of that year, we all had to, like, well, I was going to say we all had to sit down. I think we actually just were on Zoom, and we were just like, hey, this could be really bad. We can't guarantee anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
And, like, we just all have to try as hard as we can to execute. And so by the time the new year hit, we had done what we needed to do.
Yeah.
We had scraped by, and we had gotten a lot better as a team. And, man, this video is a lot more nostalgic than I was expecting. This podcast was a lot more nostalgic than I was expecting it to be. But we gave everyone like whiskey glasses at the end of the year.
Oh yeah.
That was like with like a banner, and it said like, what did it say? I don't know, like death to 2019 or death to 2020. Do you remember what it said?
I don't know what it said,
actually.
but it had like, I think Emma had designed something with like, you know, swords and all this stuff, and you guys got them engraved in these whiskey glasses.
Oh wait, yeah, I do remember that.
I broke mine in like a day.
Yeah, I wonder
think
what happened
that
to
one
mine.
of ours is broken, but we still have one.
That's awesome.
I think I cried when it broke because it was like I like pulled it out of the dishwasher and it was broken. I was like, no. But yeah, it was nostalgic. Yeah, our Christmas party, like we you know, every Christmas we do the like the gift white elephant thing, and you guys gave us that gift, and it felt like really special. Like,
Yeah.
I do remember it was pretty meaningful.
Yeah.
Well, on a slightly different note, correct me if I'm wrong. We had the COVID thank you nurses video?
Yeah.
In the summer.
Thank you health workers. Yeah, but I mean that was kind of a one-off, like pretty quick thing.
Yeah.
Was this
It was much more simple.
Yeah. Was this video the Santa COVID video like the first kind of quote unquote independent coronation project? Because I know, like,
First
I had done
animation.
that Christmas card.
Right?
We
did a Christmas card the previous year.
Yeah, but that was very
2017, 2018.
but that was very lightly animated. I mean, that was just
puppet animation. It's still cool.
Yeah, but it was just a very simple kind of looping thing.
Yeah, we'll show that too. There was Mary holding
You have
Jesus.
to show
right.
it, otherwise Jason goes.
Yeah,
like,
this is me.
doesn't make any
Yeah,
sense.
this is me holding baby Jesus.
We did the Lion Potter. That was independent.
We had done, that's what it was. We had done documentary,
Right, but nothing
independent
animated.
documentaries, but we never had something where it was like self-initiated. Like we're gonna do a piece that has animation in it.
Yeah, because that's what I remember about this video. Is like, I mean, I've said it multiple times now, but yeah, it just feels like a real kind of sliding doors.
Moment. I didn't even
kinda
think about that.
turning point for Coronation.
I think so. Well, I also remember that year, a lot of the, honestly, like huge, we were pretty provided for, like definitely like huge blessing, but like a lot of the work that we ended up getting was gala videos. That was like our whole year. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
So like we
were
because
doing,
all
let me
these-
give context to
Oh,
that.
yeah.
So basically what had happened was, we would work for nonprofits, supporting them with like promotional videos that they would show at galas to raise funds. But because of COVID, most of those galas went virtual.
Yeah.
And so their whole gala was online events. So we were doing a lot of
I
those.
think we had like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
That we did.
And they
So-
were successful for
Yeah.
the people too, which was awesome. Like that was something that, man. And because we should say, like, as a studio, long form event sort of gala coverage is not our
something
bag.
that we really did. It was just a crazy year because we had block filmed basically a whole bunch of stuff. And then in March, when we all went home.
What was it for?
Well,
so we had filmed with Thomistic Institute. We had filmed with Word Among Us.
And The Mount.
Yeah.
We had a bunch of productions that we literally had just finished like the week before everything shut down.
Yeah.
So I know you were in the office. I think you and Christian were on opposite sides of the office because you guys had to work with the footage and everyone else was home.
Right, and that was the thing. We're the only what do they call it back then? The only critical, what is it? What was the word?
Oh my God!
Critical business?
No,
it was like
essential. Right,
you were like the most essential.
Yeah. Essential employees could be in the office, and the only people who fit that category really were everyone else could work. Like animation could work remote for a bit, but the problem was anyone who was editing videos, our data was way too heavy to be online, so we needed to go off of our server. And I was on literally one side of the building, and Christian was on the other side of the building, and then we'd like wave to each other a few times, and then we go back to editing until we all came back
in July, I think.
It was July. Yeah,
So,
it was right after the 4th of July.
Yeah,
I remember that.
It was pretty crazy because it was like the timing worked out that we had work that we in contracts that we could. It was an
absolute blessing.
Yeah, that we could finish where we talked about it earlier, but you said that meeting where you were like, guys, we don't know what's going to happen and we don't know, like, we don't want to fire anybody, but we literally don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So like the fact that we had that work and nobody had, like, you were able to keep the team, like, everyone had work to do.
Yeah.
We went back to the office in like July, and then we had all those gala videos that basically carried us through Thanksgiving.
I think that's probably
And then that gets us to December when we pretty much like didn't have any work. And you guys were like, let's celebrate what this year was by doing something that we want to do that's really fun. And that takes us to Santa.
That takes us to Santa. Yeah. Well, that was freaking 2020.
It was a wild time.
That was like it was sort of a restart because we were beginning to grow. You know, our team was beginning to get bigger. We were beginning to try to figure out, because I think we always had been a MoGraph house. We'd been MoGraph studio for years. We had done a lot of MoGraph, and the delineation between MoGraph and animation and what that means and how to exactly cut between those two words is virtually impossible.
See, it's easy for me. I think that's why I keep thinking about this as our first real.
I don't know that everyone agrees with you.
Well, no, but that's what I'm because the difference is easy for me because I don't know how to do MoGraph and I can do animation, like cell animation.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great way of putting it. Because when I think about you, I'm like, oh, I'm winding the clock all the way back to when you contracted with us, and we were doing like, so before you were even a full-time employee. When we were doing like Sophia Sketchpad.
Right.
And I think of that as like, oh, Jason helped us animate the videos.
Right, but I was only doing the assets.
You were just doing the illustrations.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that for me, that's not, I mean, technically it is animation work, but it's not animated work. Like I'm not making the characters move. I'm just making the characters. So that's a different deal than trying to make Kyle walk up to the penguin to shake his hand.
I love turning. This is a lot more fun than I was even expecting it to be, because like turning the clock all the way back to like Sophia Sketchpad or something, and you think about the workflows that we were clearly ironing out on videos like Santa Bob or Sophia Sketchpad, where Jason once literally drew basically on your hands and knees.
On my knees, yeah.
Yeah, for 18.
On a whiteboard.
How many hours did you do?
The first video was 24, I think. I wasn't going to say when you guys were talking about how long you were on set for the Santa Bob. I was like, 18. Yeah. Come back to me when you're there for a full
This is like
day. It's amazing that Jason even wanted to work for you after that.
It was
a different time.
Yeah, it was different. It was a different time. We were all like, the company
I was young, scrappy, hungry, you know?
Yeah,
you were young, scrappy, and hungry in my basement. We didn't even really have a proper office yet.
Yeah, that's why I was hungry.
I'm sure we got you a sandwich.
You didn't have a crafty budget. The poor guy didn't eat.
I may have given you some chips for my pantry or something. Yeah, these are the good old days.
I do remember getting Subway at the place across the street from the Tawny Town office.
Well,
yeah.
I remember that.
I feel like this was the transition period from like, this is a term you've used that I feel very nostalgic about, but like Coronation's time period as like a garage band where like we basically, everybody would just do everything, and we all kind of just, there weren't like as established roles. Like we would all go on set and everyone would literally do everything. Like, with, you know, with this video, like it was me and Christian, we would just go do everything. Like, and even earlier you mentioned like, you know, if we did it today, like we would hire like, you know, contractors and have a way bigger team and all this stuff. But I don't even think that that's something that we did back then ever. Like it pretty much was just like,
and not during 2020, especially because we weren't shooting a lot.
No, but this was the transition. Cause I think Kevin started working for us that following January or February. So it was like, literally the video team was just me, you, and Christian. Yeah.
At that point.
And, we kind of would just like do everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And the same with you and Peter, and it was Emma at the time.
Yeah.
It was, I mean,
but this was kind of the start of that delineation too, though, because I remember, you know, Peter and I, we learned Toon Boom. Emma wasn't really interested in doing the animation. So, you know, I think it was kind of the start of the
illustrator and the animator.
Yeah, just
and
kind
those
of
roles starting.
Yeah, kind of rolling into shape.
I kind of look at this as the beginning of that shift. I feel
weirdly, weirdly, I think you guys are right that this video may have been weirdly influential on the rest and on 2021, and then there on out. Yeah. Well,
definitely.
good. Thank you for remembering the past with me. And I don't know if we're going to be doing a Christmas video. They're working on
ever again.
Yeah, ever again. We'll see.
It's good Santa came in 2020 because he's never came.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks, guys. Well, if you want to listen to more breakdowns and case studies for projects we've done, both client projects and passion projects, tune in next time for Heralds and Fools. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Ruthie.
Thank you, Gary.
Yeah.
Yo.
One other memory I have. I don't know if we don't have to.
Yeah, no, go for it.
But I just have a memory, and there has to be a video of it. I don't know if it's on Christian's phone or what, but I remember from this location, I came out of the bathroom, and Christian scared the crap out of me.
Yes.
Like jumped out and scared me, and it's on video, so that might be.
That should be. Maybe we'll end it that
It
way.
might be worth mentioning.